Sorry, everyone, to be late. We call for order yet? Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order. This is the May 2024 monthly meeting of local council schools. We're going to do a quick roll call now. So we could go around the table, starting with Ms. Jane Rosenthal, please.
Jane Rosenthal, present.
Alexander Trzaski, present, student representative.
Sasha Zanko, parent.
Zemnick, parent.
Eric Steinmiller, principal.
Peter Talmers, parent.
Ted Smith, parent rep.
Brad Kessler, community rep.
Angelica Sepulveda, non-teacher rep.
Sorry, Sandra Kaler, teacher rep.
Paul Kendrick, community rep.
All right, thank you, everyone. We have a quorum. So we're ready to jump into our agenda. We start with public participation, and this is a chance for anyone who's in the room to come up and speak, or anyone who's online that would like to make a statement. Just as a reminder, we ask everyone to keep their comments to 2 minutes or less. And this is a time when we listen, we do not respond, so it doesn't become like a conversation, but we do listen and respond in a future time. So I'll start with in the room. Is there anyone that would like to come and make a public statement? We invite you up to the podium. Okay, yes, sir, please come and just say your name, and so we know who you are, and take it from there.
My name is Andy Davis. I live in the neighborhood, and my son is a junior here at Lincoln Park High School. I'm also a candidate for the new elected school board in the city of Chicago. And I've lived in the neighborhood here for 40 years, and I plan on staying long enough. I have a 2-year-old grandson who I expect to see graduate from Lincoln Park High School. So I'll be around for a little while. I'm running for the school board because I think K-12 education is the single most important factor in the long-term success of our city. I see 2 critical initiatives that ought to be pursued by our schools. One, I think it's very important, and I say this both generally speaking and particularly as a parent of a Lincoln Park High School student, that we need to support student success where it exists. 4th District runs from North Avenue all the way up to Foster, from the lakefront all the way over to the Chicago River. And we're very fortunate in this district to have some of the city's very best schools, such as Lincoln Park High School. These schools draw people to our neighborhoods, and they keep them here. Other parts of the city, people end up moving out to the burbs to get good schools. And in our neighborhood, in this part of the city, that's not necessary because we have great schools. I think it's very important that we do everything we can to continue to support those schools and maintain the strength where we can find it. But there are other schools in the city and other neighborhoods that suffer from poverty and a lack of resources that are often connected directly to underperforming schools, and the students there are left behind. The Chicago Sun-Times reported last month on the 24th that a state of Illinois study found that at the 3rd grade level, among lower income students, 12.2% of the students were reading at grade level. So 1 in 8, 7 out of 8 weren't making it. That's not good enough, and we've got to do better if the city is to survive. I don't believe that funding improvements in one school, the way to do it, I don't think is taking from enough. This approach of robbing Peter to pay Paul creates divisiveness. You need to get everyone to weigh in on plans that will bring more resources to the entire system, rather than taking one particular portion of the city and kicking them in the teeth and making them feel like they're not being considered. Today, Chicago is the only district in the state.
About 30 seconds left. Sorry,
Today, Chicago is the only district in the state, as far as I understand, that funds its own teacher pensions. Peoria, Rockford, Springfield, Decatur, all these have teacher pensions that are funded by the state. If Chicago were treated the same as the other districts, instead of spending $300 million plus a year on pensions, we could fund a highly focused effort to teach all of our 3rd graders to read. I think that would be a good start. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come make a statement? Thank you.
All right. Hello, LSC. Some of you know who I am. My name is Isaac Fish, and I'm one of our school social workers here. I serve as a co-lead of the behavioral health team. I'm on the PPLC. I'm also a member of our culture and finance team. I'm here today to read a letter that was endorsed by many members of our school community today. that was also shared recently with the LSC. And I just wanted to preface that before I read it. I'm going to read it for what it says. Dear members of the Lincoln Park High School Local School Council, on Friday, May 3rd, we learned that school social worker Stephanie Menahares was requested for reassignment by our school administration for the 24-25 school year. This has come to us as a shock to all of us. Not only has this forced departure disrupted a team that works well together, but it will undoubtedly have an adverse effect on the students whom Stephanie serves daily and on the school's culture. We are beyond disappointed with this decision because Stephanie is an integral part of our team and school community. It is difficult to understand why someone with proficient and exemplary evaluation scores from the management team, the only person of color and only bilingual social worker on the RSP team, was asked not to return to LP for another school year, especially at a time when we are seeing an influx of English language learners enroll at the school. Not only has Stephanie gone above and beyond to support the needs of our students, she has also demonstrated that representation matters by being able to connect with students culturally and linguistically. She has volunteered to assist our newcomer students with behavioral health check-ins and connecting them to community resources. Stephanie also serves on the PPC to defend staff rights and has been steadfast in her fight to support some of our most marginalized students. While we are told that this decision cannot be reversed, and we are beyond disappointed and saddened by this outcome, we remain hopeful that this can be a learning opportunity for our school leadership team. Moving forward, we hope that the school can take the following steps to ensure that our staff members have a voice in the decision-making process and that we can continue to navigate these spaces and implement policies with a lens of equity. Number one, we recommend that the administration take the time to provide yearly observations and provide constructive feedback so that staff can learn and grow. Number two, continue to hire staff and teachers who are representative of the student body. Number three, ensure that administration is inclusive when making major decisions and allow for multiple stakeholders and viewpoints to participate. Number four, ensure all students and staff truly feel safe, supported, and included by providing check-ins throughout the year and ensure that staff and students have the trusted adult in the building that they can speak with.
30 seconds.
Number five, equitable funding to support our most marginalized students, including funding to support trauma-informed and culturally responsive trainings to staff members and teachers, and funding for tutoring opportunities for students during school hours. And the last one, number six, LSC Equity Committee should be created to ensure follow-through for the CIWP tenet of connectedness and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else like to make a comment? Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Andy Plax. And just want to first thank you all for your time this year. All the time. I know that you volunteered and it's a selfless act that you do. So we really appreciate it. I'm a parent of two at LP. On a personal note, also want to thank Miss Kaler, if I pronounced that correctly. So I've got a daughter who's a senior, Eva, who you've been with for 3 years now. And so Ms. Kaler wrote a letter of recommendation, and so my daughter's going to a dream school. So thank you. So in addition to that, also we're gonna, it's a hard segue here, but we're gonna start the boys basketball booster club. So myself and another parent, Adam Oxteen, are gonna be in charge of that. And we met earlier this week with the administration, and also the awesome new athletic director, Ms. Carver. And so we have a meeting tomorrow with Brian Hansen to officially get kind of the 501(c)(3) C3, and then establish also a dedicated checking account so that we can meticulously see, you can as well, all the booster club funds. We are well aware of the current financial shortfall that the boys team has, the boys basketball team faces. And so we're going to actively collaborate with both the coaches, administration, everybody to kind of to get that resolved, and we'll keep you updated on that. Our objective as a booster club is so that really just we'll handle all the financial portion and let the coaches coach. If we want to really give them the opportunity to thrive, I hope that you know how great of coaches that they are, and just kind of give them that opportunity. They don't want to handle anything related to finances, nor should they. So that's, we feel, is our job. So we kind of look at this hopefully as an opportunity for all of us. I know it's a little bit aspirational, but we want this to be ideally that with your help, administration, everyone, that this can be a model booster club for everyone to follow. And so we definitely need your help on this. And you know, I just, if you have any questions, again, just talk to Adam. No, I'm kidding. We can talk to you. But yeah, we you know, we look forward to it, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else in the room, or is there anyone online with their hands up?
I do see it. Boy,
Okay. Oh, great. So we need to just do a quick technicality. We need a motion to allow Akoya to participate virtually. All those in favor, I'm making that motion. Aye, okay. I think it's unanimous in the room. Akoya, welcome officially, but also, of course, welcome unofficially. The floor is yours.
oh no, she was just joining.
She's not making a comment.
No,
Oh.
she was just joining.
Okay. So anyway, so she's in officially. Akoya is our other student representative. So thank you, Akoya. With no comments online?
Nope.
Okay. Any other ones in the room? Not seeing any. So given that, I think we should move forward. Next item is to review and approve minutes from our last meeting, our monthly meeting, April meeting. Ted, I know there were a couple small revisions. Did you get those? Okay, great. So is there a motion to approve the minutes from the April meeting? Oh, okay. Zemek, Alicia, second. All those in favor? Okay, I think it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next item is celebrations for Lincoln Park High School. This is a minute when we take notice of things happening on campus and in our school and in our community, and that our students are doing that is worthy of spotlighting, celebrating, elevating. So anything that people want to call out that they see we're excited about recently, usually like in the last month or so since our last meeting. Yes, Michaela.
Well, it was a blast, and I think I sent the LSC a couple of photos of the senior day here, and the pictures that I was taking of the seniors and the schools that they got into. It was just a really great day, and I posted on my classroom. Everybody get here, and it's on my Instagram if you want to know. I mean, there's, yeah, all the pictures of all of the students are on Instagram. But all the students just got into some fabulous schools, and they're so excited. And I've wondered what is a year of just a slog sometimes and tough, and you don't see they're just, it's the brightest day. So I wanted to say that. But I do want to recognize one in particular that came to me today, and that is, am I allowed to say something about me? So the 2024 US Presidential Scholars program that was created in 1964 for you history people out there, Cold War for sure. In our competition with the Soviet Union, the Lyndon Johnson created this scholars program to recognize and honor some of our nation's most distinguished graduating students. And distinguished teachers. And so each year up to 100, they have to be nominated. They can't just apply, but about up to 161 students, sometimes just 2 from a state. But 15, might get, and then 2 usually win. I think Illinois had 5. We have one of the winners at Lincoln Park, and out of, I printed this for you guys. There was Young and Peyton and Stevenson and Northside. They all, and all to the suburbs, had some semifinalists, but it was only Lincoln Park High School as a city school that got the presidential scholar. And that was Inti Alpha T. Yeah. That it's really huge and big for our school. And I hope that we can somehow get that out there because it is a distinguished. And I was one of 5 teachers in Illinois that got this distinguished teacher for presidential scholar. So I'm proud of that. So yeah, all of our kids are amazing, but I just wanted to highlight that because I was aware of it.
Sandy, is there an email you could forward to the alderman so he could put it in his newsletter?
Yeah, and in fact, at this point, they send the big gold medal and then they take a picture. It's also national news as well. But
If there's a
can
link you could send to
Yeah, I
us at
will.
least. That would
Yeah,
be
it's
great.
really easy to navigate. But I was also thinking to tell what do you say, the newspaper, there's Chicago newspapers too. They have that. She's not the only one.
I want to give a shout out to Culture and Climate Team. I was going to report it out, but here right now, all people are here that are part of that. Our Culture and Climate Team has been really working to do some teacher-led work. Have volunteered to be in the halls, do hallway monitoring, make sure students have their hall passes and their deeds on. We have over 15 teachers signed up and social workers and staff members. And it's just really impressive to see that type of work and the group growing. Along with that, also some of our teachers who have been supporting our EL students have been meeting, on Wednesdays during a time we don't have any professional time. They've put together resources and are tutoring for our students, our EL students. And so just really I'm impressed with these 2 groups and the initiative that they are both taking to help improve our culture and climate of our school.
Awesome. Thank you. Others? I have 3 and they are,
I have one.
oh, go ahead, please.
I just
Go
want to
ahead,
give
go
a
for it.
huge shout out to all the LP graduates and all of the LP students that are going to HBCUs because I know that's a really big thing and I know that is a good handful of us out of class of 2024. So I want to say congratulations to all the seniors and congratulations to all the HBCU new incoming students.
So Akoya, that couldn't have been a better intro for my celebration. So I'm here to celebrate Akoya Love, Alexander Trzaskowski, and Jane Rosenthal, okay, who are all our student representatives on the local school council. Akoya and Alexander have been serving for this entire year, which included a lot of work throughout the year. And then Jane has been serving for 2 years. Oh, yeah. There you go. Thank you. Akoya, I have one for you, but we'll leave it for you in the office. We'll get it to you. And also in celebration of that, we have some cupcakes that are, according to my children, like really yummy. And I did do some sampling. So these are for you to share as you see fit. There's enough for everyone and maybe a little bit extra. Not one for everyone in the audience, I'm sorry, but maybe there'll be a couple for you. So I'm just going to bring this over here, one for each side. Equality, right? So anyway, thank you to all the students, Akoya, Jane, Alexander. I'm sure this is not a job that people say, thank you, it's so great, or even realize what you're doing, but it's not just showing up once a month. It's showing up every day at school, talking to people, listening, being a voice and an organizer and a collaborator. And we really appreciate all that you've done for the school. So thank you very much. And we haven't graduated yet. There is one more LSC meeting in June, but I know you will have graduated by then. So we want to make sure that we recognize all of you. Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we're on to our budget subcommittee. So I'm going to turn it over to Laura and Brad, who are our budget leaders. Over to you all.
So I drafted some meeting notes. Let me see if I can find them. I'm so sorry. My apologies. We met on Tuesday. Angelica showed up as well to discuss some items. I'm a little not ready for this. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the questions that you brought up, the ELL and sorry.
All right. Yeah, and then maybe we'll get to with the transfers.
Sure. So for the 24-25 Lincoln Park high school budget, we only got enough ELL funding for 7 students. We have 161 ELL, which is English language learners. We have 161. We got enough for 7 folks. So Dr. Steinmiller said that once the appeal process comes out, you're going to appeal that. And same with the diverse learners. Teachers, we're short 5, but he said when the process comes out, you're going to appeal that.
Yep.
This week.
It was supposed to have been May 3rd. They've delayed the appeal process and window till May 5th.
And I think we also reviewed the at-risk coordinator just a little bit more. Yeah. So. So. Yeah. Just to be clear, we were told that no positions were going to be lost. A position was not lost, but we have 3 folks who serve as our deans. Their titles are a little different, but the LSC, the majority of folks voted on to switch a 39-week position to a 52-week position. So that I don't know how to say this in so many words. I don't know if I could talk about personnel, but I guess my concern is that it's my understanding that if someone doesn't want this position, they're going to have to leave because it is not an increase in pay. So that was a little worrisome to me. Yeah. Go ahead.
I just need this. This was always something that was troubling to us. I believe that we were taking a youth intervention specialist and moving that into, and tell me if I'm wrong, Dr. Steinmiller, with my language, creating an at-risk student coordinator that rather than a 40-week position would be a 52-week. However, there would be no change in pay. We questioned why and what that job would be, but I think what we've heard is that the 2 individuals that would be up for that position, or 3, right?
So I mean, I can clarify
Wait, can I just finish
Yeah.
for a second? So 1 is a youth interventionist, 2 are youth interventionists, 1 is a student special SVC advocate. Anyway, they don't want that position. And I don't know if it was at a budget meeting or something that it's our understanding that that position then, because those 2 that are here don't want that position, that position will be taken away. I don't know, what do I say? Taken away. If they don't want to do the 52 week. Well, so I guess clarification on
I
that.
can clarify a couple things. One, if somebody, the 2 positions, it's youth intervention specialist. We have 2 of them. One of them was converted into an at-risk coordinator. It's a 52-week position. They are not the same pay. The at-risk actually is slightly lower. We couldn't afford to at-risk anyway. We're at $642 left. So had we not converted it, we have lost a position altogether for our SEL team. So this was the position that was at a lower rate, but also had 52 weeks in which it would sustain 3 positions. It also had the closest job description to what we need as a school. And so that's how I determined that it would be an at-risk coordinator. So that is just in the structure of the position itself. And those are that's why it takes sometimes 2 weeks to be able to put together a budget, because you're adjusting and making moves so you can keep certain positions. That's part of the responsibility I have as a principal, to make sure we have those positions in place. And sometimes it's a difficult decision. Now, as it comes to personnel, that will relate to HR. Anybody who, if there are choices about people not wanting to do it, that's something that HR would communicate. That person, a person would then potentially be impacted if they choose not to move forward with that position. And obviously, we don't have a position for them to take. That'll be something that I will work with individually. That's not really an LSC conversation. That's something I and HR work with person.
Dr. Steinmiller, I know you can't talk about personnel, but in terms of budget, was this, did you talk about this with the folks who are going to be impacted before you made the decision to put this on the?
So specific
Budget?
people that it would be impacted, we don't talk about that until HR gives permission to have those specific conversations with anybody impacted. However, I did talk with members of the SEL team that I would be making adjustments to these positions.
Okay. So at the budget committee, we also discussed grants. Principal Steinmiller has applied for a grant with Congressman Mike Quigley. They did a tour here of the school last week, and this is going to be for the auditorium improvement. Hopefully, we'll find out from that within the next coming weeks or months. We'll soon see. The other topic that we discussed, of course, during our budget committee was budget transfers. So if you look at the budget tracker, I don't know if you have
Yeah,
it.
I've got it up.
Okay, thank you.
And one thing, I mean, we are applying for grants. I'm not trying to get everybody's hopes raised extremely high because it's still a grant and you have to get it. But it is for possibly up to $1 million for auditorium. So these are paths we are exploring to be able to fund things that we know we don't have in our budget. But again, don't get your hopes high, but I have communicated this to Miss Gosler and members of the team. So it is public that we are making every effort to do that. And we already have a scope and range for what it would be and have a really strong case. If we were to be selected to be able to get that grant for up to $1 million, it would be in the middle of school SY 25. But again, I'm not promoting it as we have it. We don't. We are. I will put up the budget document.
Thank you. Yeah, if you want to just scroll down to the bottom where we have the highlighted rows. 63. Rows 265, 266, and 267 are highlighted in blue because these were actually approved in our last LSC meeting. This was a transfer of rental dollars to fund athletic transportation and also sub buckets for substitute teachers. So that was a total of $82,860. Again, this was approved at our last LSC meeting. It's in the budget transfers tab, just so it's documented, but again, it's highlighted in blue, meaning that it's been approved already. Those items highlighted in yellow are we reviewed during our budget committee. They're primarily department orders, which are at the very bottom there. If you want to again scroll down, these are for next school year for the different departments: language acquisition, diverse learners, science, wellness, visual arts. These are all going to be pre-orders for SY 25. The total of that is roughly $108,000. Oh, that's right, because she revised, and that revision was, yeah. Okay. All right, so now the total for departments will be 121,563. See that total there at the bottom. Along with these department orders, we have funding for IB grants, transferring over to go to an IB conference. And yeah.
$121,000. There's certain funding streams that if it's not used, it ends up getting swept away by CPS's central office. So those dollars that are part of what are called pointer lines, we talked about that a little bit a couple of meetings ago. It's like the dollars that sometimes drop from different positions. That's those dollars. When we think about this, we think about dollars that get swept that we don't get to roll over, and other dollars that get to roll. Right, this 121,000 for dollars we do not get to roll over that will get swept if they're not spent. The school is opting to spend them inside of the departments, I think in various categories. The details of what aren't inside of the spreadsheet, but just so we know on those as separate from the other items.
And these are the items that we had all departments submit requests. We gave a timeline for it. So these, and it aligns to their unit plans for the fall so that we could have supplies for fall. The caveat to things to just anticipate that aren't included in it for science specifically. We know there will be funds that will be needed in the fall for like live specimens. We can't order them now and they sit all summer in our hallway. That would not be fun. And so those are some things that we do anticipate, but that's when we will focus on later in the school year. And that's around December when they start to do that to January for some of the IB students and their self-selected kind of projects they're doing. And that's something that happens. So this represents all of our departments so that we can make sure that we are good to start the year. And kind of to that point, it was like last week this money dropped. And so I mean, that's why we asked for that, knowing that every year at the end of the year, money tends to drop, and prioritizing our instructional spaces to utilize all of it's about 150,000 dollars. Immediately, this is our first thing. It is going straight to all of our instructional spaces for all the departments. Some of the departments you see are larger than others. There's change in curriculum where there's a specific textbook that would support that work. And so that's why you see some that are higher, but these are based on the needs of all of our teams.
I have one just process question. So I don't know if it's a reasonable ask for a teacher in May to like say, here's everything I need for next year now, or is that unreasonable? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's the same class every year. You should sort of know by now, but is there any issue with that? Are we like putting a teachers in a bad position by saying, tell me what you need next April?
Oh, this is semester one. This is just
semester one.
So
okay.
Part of our CIWP with curriculum instruction is start to align our unit plans. We've been working on our unit plans this year. This year was 70%. Next year is 100% of our unit plans. And so our budget has to be informed by what we're planning for. And we can get to a point where this is semester by semester, where if we fully develop unit plans moving forward, we can anticipate what we need all year. We're not there yet. And that's teachers are still finishing out this semester and some of their planning. They're submitting their order. So it's okay. They don't know the full year. This is something we've been building up to so that next year we can actually start budgeting every department for a time. That's something that as a subcommittee we've really focused on and are excited about creating some sustainability projections of what we
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so the other transfers are related to OST funds, and they're going to just different items here. We've got POs for class trips, other OST clubs. So that's what the other transfers are. And that is like line 268 to 279. I already referred to the IB grants, and I believe that that's all of it.
Yeah, the 281 and 282 are through IB specific funds. Those have to be aligned with IB to what they're going to be used for. So that was already determined. Things already been set up. So I don't actually know if that requires our approval, but we're putting every transaction in here. So that
You'll see that like this is Miss Lopez with various budget lines starts doing very small dollar amount transfers to try to clear. And if we can zero out certain budget lines, we do that. So you'll see like a $50, $6, et cetera on this list. You know, it can add up, which is why we often try to bring it up. But this time of year, you're going to see a decent amount of those moving in and out. But I recommend people looking at the justification if you've got the spreadsheet open in case you have any questions.
in 288, we actually created transaction number to for it's like phone lines. We need phone services. We were actually able to get it paid for externally. So that's why you see it all lined out, because it's not something that we're moving money towards. Telecom services we're paying for.
One other question I remember this past year of visual arts, there was a lot of frustration around the timing and ordering of supplies. How do they feel about the order they're putting in now and their ability to plan for it?
They have a $32,000 order that they have at the beginning of the year. And what we're also doing is going to, part of the issue is all the storage spaces probably have 20, 30 years worth of unusable material, and there isn't actually storage spaces to put new. So on June 5th, we were getting a 30-foot dumpster. We've already started to move things out. Same thing with our athletic spaces. we can't actually store our stuff, our nice stuff, because you can't get further than 3 feet into 20 years worth of things in our freshman building. So we're getting a 30-foot dumpster. We will then be getting rid of all of them. And then if we fill it up, we're getting a second one right after. But then we will have spaces to then be able to organize. I met with the team. I mean, we filled up 5 trash cans doing like 2 closets, and there was like 8 in the. So right now we're organizing things so that we can actually take care of the resources that we're putting money to, which would be $32,000 they would have on day one.
I'm assuming 32,000 sounds like a lot to me, but they're good with it as far as you know. For
It fits
what
their
they've
unit
asked.
plans and what they're planning to.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
I'll have an update on for PPLC, but during PPL.
So these budget transfers were reviewed and I believe approved during our budget meeting. We just wanted to review those with you here. Short of that, that was really our budget meeting.
We have this to approve, and then we have a second, some additional funds that, so we do need to vote on this, because we do have, the total sums for our department.
All right, so I'm going to do a motion to approve these budget transfers. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Oops.
Everything in yellow.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Okay. All right.
There was, I just want to make sure I'm not missing some, there, because all these funds must be used. If there's any additional funding, there was for cubic, there's about $30,000 that we anticipate there will be remaining. We usually use that for like paper, office supplies to start the year. But also so there's kind of 2 requests with that. We don't know that we want to see how much money we do have, but we want to get approval so we're not having to meet next week to the deadline to extend. If we don't, then CPS scoops it all up, and I don't want to give them a single dollar. So there are 2 things that we are looking at. We anticipate potentially $30,000 more. We'd buy paper and office supplies. That's one thing we just want approval to be able to do that, because we need paper no matter what. The second thing is we do have additional support staff that are in our building, and we don't have office spaces. We do have a room that by our counseling suite, in which we have basically 2 offices that are being blocked off by like chalk whiteboards and boxes. They've made their own fake walls to separate themselves from everybody. That room, we do have a quote for about $10,000. We actually put in 3 office spaces there. So then clinicians, other people can actually have that it and be able to store heavy doors, student information in it. We are using closets throughout our building. This will be a nice space. That if we do have one for that, like also long term down the line, we also know that our clock during volleyball games that cuts off during basketball. We do have a quote for a new one, but we want to going to our related service providers and staff that have office like set up.
Have we ever received a quote for a new curtain for the auditorium?
$9,000. That doesn't include the rigging, so $500,000 to do the rigging device.
I'm just talking about the ripped. We call it. It's not a.
The fire curtain.
The curtain.
So there's one curtain. That's $29,000 to do the fire curtain. That doesn't include all the blue non-fire curtain torn pieces. So you're talking. I mean, visually, the torn stuff is still. That's why we're able, but again, we've been a part of facilities, we've been bringing up, and so that's why it's a part of the CPS actually came in and did the whole scope of our auditorium, including the curtains, including the lights, including everything. As you guys know, the lights, when the lights fell, the attachments to the top, the cable snapped and it fell right before one of our performances. This is a big deal. I don't want to go down the, hey, I feel very confident about this grant, but there's a reason why we are able to push this grant forward in a way, because it all needs to be. So right now, I wouldn't put $29,000 for the curtain that we.
I think I would like to talk about other things in cubicles. I know what room you're talking about. I think money should go to students and programs, and they've been advocating for it. I don't really know about this curtain, and I keep hearing, and we don't know if we're going to get a grant or not. So I don't know. I don't think teachers need cubicles. It's not
Providers and
right for programmers, and I know that one room. I just think we can use it better. We can find space better than $30,000 in that.
So we would just need to then reconvene instead of date in the next week. So, like I said, this money drops, we try to respond to it.
I think I'll just add that I know that like even more about friends not helping pay for bathrooms, but it's not. And I think that it's worthwhile. Worthwhile having a conversation.
So we can set another meeting. But it's gonna have to happen pretty quick because I'll look at. We will have money that will drop from that. Don't spend it, it's sweet. And so I do want to make sure that. Never.
Instead of using the rental. No, that way the rental income stays.
Hi, sorry. It sounds really muffled.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So what I was asking was, last LSC, we did approve some funding from our rental income to pay for transportation as well as for the substitute bucket. And that came from our rental income. Instead of using the rental income to pay for that, couldn't we use this drop funds, which we will lose if we don't use it, to pay for those items? So we keep money in reserves.
I can look into that. To make sure this was already. So, but actually, I mean, that's something that we want to. Yeah. I don't, if it's been transferred, I don't know if we can move it. I can look into it, and I think that's something that we like, we should make that movement so that I can actually do it. I don't know if I can, but once you move it out.
I would, do we have to vote on this? Okay, I would like to make a motion that if those funds haven't transferred from the rental income, that we use that dropped money that will be lost if we don't use it to pay for the transportation and the sub buckets. Does anyone else want to second that motion?
We're talking about the what we just approved was about $121,000 for department level expenses, right? There's an expectation of $160,000 in total dropping. We just allocated 121,000. So that means there's $39,000 that Dr. Chandler is anticipating dropping for use it or lose it dollars. All right. So what Laura just recommended, that $39,000, right? That's use it or lose it. Last month, we spent over $100,000 from dollars that would normally roll over every year. Instead, we spent it on those items like on sub buckets and on transportation. So Laura is recommending that we do a transfer of the $39,000 that we use it or lose it to then spend it in the transfer what we approved last month, which was not use it or lose it dollars, to try to just do a swap and say, let's use it or lose it dollars as part of what we approved last month, at least $39,000 of it. So that then we can save $39,000 of rental income, which again, we can still have that conversation about what to use dollars on, but we won't lose it.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
That's great.
I'll second that motion.
I would like to make a motion to see if we can reverse the transfer from last LSC meeting from rental income to the drop, the $39,000. A second.
Oh, so, are we good then?
Yeah, we could meet again Tuesday. Up to everybody. We usually meet on Tuesdays at 9:45.
Tuesday after, yeah, I'll talk. Tuesday, we have our AP interviews. Um, that happen. Yeah, I do think we need to have a meeting. I think the one thing that we need paper and we need like the general office. I think we should come together and say how much do we have, how we prioritize it. But let's say we don't have one. I think that at least have permission to be able to get office supplies if you're not able. On the money for it. Yeah. I should, but I'm just saying I don't know. Come to that due date, and then you have 40 grand sitting there that basically yes pipes up and doesn't go to paper. We can spend $40,000 on paper.
You're saying you want to say if in the event we cannot meet, you would like support for five papers.
We need it anyway. But if we don't, and then we don't come together, or there's not forum or heavy, that people, and
I think that's a fine plan B, but we're going to work towards plan A.
How much money does the school spend a year? That's 40,000 for the town.
I'll
I just think maybe also, space has become quite an issue in the last few years. And a lot of office space has been created. I think that it would be important to determine what space is needed or what we can do now, what we can talk about. That rather than spending money, we could play this space.
So, So remaining funds, he can buy off the five. I would. Check. I know, for example, some documents. I would rather. I don't, I want us to. So like that, I would say like, it's. I don't know, I trust that. Just have that spreadsheet. That was it. Plus. So I just. I hear you. Yeah, 5 people say. Last. So I think they're fucking together. They do it.
Well, Peter, perhaps before we vote, we make sure that people can attend next week,
Yeah.
because I already know I can.
Okay. Let's, thank you. So, next Monday is 13th. 14th is the 15th, saying the 14th, we have the AP interviews, so that may not be the day.
We have a meeting. So, at least. Yeah. The meeting started at, our meeting started at, our fundraising meeting starts at, our student. Right? We were, no, we were meeting with the students at the.
5 o'clock Monday? Then, not.
Monday?
We're just gonna go through public.
Yeah.
Monday at 5 p.m. Who could join?
Dr. Steinmiller, your mic isn't working, it sounds like, maybe you're not speaking close to it.
I mean,
That's all really.
if we go
If money's available.
prioritize this, then
Okay, so for Monday at 5 p.m., who could join? I guess if this is an hour meeting, so. That's the first one. We can come back. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8.
Peter, his mic's not working. We can't hear him again. Or perhaps you just don't have it close to your, yours is fine.
Mine's fine.
Test.
can you hear me? Boy, can you hear me?
Now,
Can you hear me?
now, now, please.
Last thing, 1, 2. Okay, is this better for you? Yeah.
And then we have to be unanimous.
Well, how about Monday at 6 p.m.? Would that be any better for anyone? For anyone else out?
I could only meet for 30 minutes.
Only 30 minutes?
Yeah, I have to be on at 6.
Wednesday. Right, Dave? The 4 o'clock Wednesday. Probably a 8 here. Got it. It could be a 8 in person. Okay. Okay, so
I mean, if the dollars can be saved, that's another conversation. If the dollars can't be saved, that's a good turning point. But if it can't be saved, then the conversation makes more sense. And even if there's an opportunity for the walkthrough you mentioned, it probably makes sense for folks who stay, especially like cases like Ms. Taylor was talking about, fire curtain, basketball.
It's an emergency. We're present. We have to have those. I want an emergency. Usually fill the.
I know we were also talking about food.
No, that's not.
That's not on.
I'm just staying on this place. I would just. Say, if they happen. Let's see.
my part today.
I'm right. Ready?
Does this work?
We'll be here, Dr. Miller, right now.
So next a lot. Smart.
Say, please, just friend.
Woo! Need new mics, now $30,000.
Anyway, I will withdraw my. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I move that if any remaining funds are available and we are not able to come together as an LFC, that we will.
Okay, second. Those in favor? Great, so that motion has.
Anyways, I know we're missing a lot of student fees and we just wanted to know, some of my colleagues wanted to know if that money, if you have the, student fee waivers, are those students or not accounted for? Because it looks like you have every student is missing money, but really maybe way less, right?
It may be way less. We don't. In that number. Yeah, and also I believe that this is really dedicated to the so the ladies could just come up to the company. That's a good thing. I really like to do it. It's not really send a reminder to parents to pay their student fees. We can give less than 3 weeks to go out and do it. That really does impact the budget. And again, these are funds that came out of reserves, that don't have to be used this year, but it's important for us to collect this portion of that as much as we can. Dr. Sandra, is he committed to it?
Well, yes, and then we've had conversations with some things to adjust some of their fee waivers, and want to make sure that they have a waiver or they things for that. By the end of the week, which we do tomorrow.
Let's just verify. Okay, Latoya, can you hear me right now? Like speaking into the mic? Good? Oh. Anyone else?
Great. Can you hear me? I can sort of hear Angelica's mic. I used to be able to hear okay, and then it got bad. I can't hear much more than every couple of words. Can you hear me now? I sort of heard you. Sorry, Drake. Can you hear this? Pat, can you hear me? Drake.
Can think of anyone else? You can contact with someone who's.
Uh,
Okay, can we just do a mic check? And then-
I did. Grace.
7 months.
Oh, no, they can't.
They cannot hear me,
No,
but they knew I was asking.
no, I typed it in. I
Oh, you typed
texted
it in.
it, said, can you
So
hear
that's
me?
great.
It's,
Can you hear me? Mic check. La 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 la.
So let's do this. We're going to go one by one, and we'd like the people on the phone. They can't hear me. So. That one? Oh, okay. Can you just tell them the rate of- I'm gonna go one by one.
Yeah, we're gonna try to open up the chat so that as we check microphones, folks that are on Zoom can just comment if the microphone's working.
So so if anyone in the chat can hear Q&A. Yeah, yeah. So Ms. Taylor, you're speaking. They hear you.
Okay, can you hear this mic? Yes, but it sounds really bad. Expletive.
Taylor, Taylor, how about you?
Okay, can you hear this one? It sounds okay. No, no expletive.
Can you hear this one?
Grace said yes to Ted.
Oh, you think?
Whoops.
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes, we can see
Computer. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, but I couldn't hear him before, so that works.
Steinmiller 1, Steinmiller 2, Steinmiller 1, mic check, Steinmiller 1.
Yeah. We're just trying to be inclusive to the audience. Yeah, okay.
Can hear.
Yeah. Me, can you?
Yes. Can hear Dr. Steinmiller 1 and 2. But they're all a bit muffled and garbagey. That must be a word.
I don't know what else to do. I think.
Testing
Well, let's
1,
do our
2,
best.
3. Is this one work?
Great. Okay.
Hello, 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 testing, testing.
Student Mike, great. All right, so we're going to move forward in the agenda. Ms. Sepulveda has invited someone who's what? Yeah, she's a clinician and researcher at the University of Chicago. She was at the school last week, and we've given her 10 minutes on the agenda to share some data about LPHS students and option schools, which she's going to explain. So, Ms. Sam. Yeah, we're gonna. Thank you for joining, and we have 10 minutes for you, Sam. Thanks for making time for us.
Absolutely. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, quite well.
Wonderful, wonderful. As was said, I'm Sam Guz. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a doctoral candidate at the University of Chicago in the social work school, and I'll be an incoming professor at the University of Alabama School of Social Work. And I'm doing research in partnership with Chicago Public Schools, trying to understand transfer to option schools. And option schools are considered alternative high schools for students that are deemed unsuccessful in mainstream schools. And so what I'm going to do is this work is across the district. And I was at LP last week sharing some data from some administrative data of LPs. And so I'm here to share that transfer data with y'all. Let me share my screen. I'm assuming everyone can see this screen that I've shared. Okay, great. Hands up. I love it. And so on the right, on the left column, we have different variables. And on the right, we have the data. So this is Lincoln Park's data from 2016 to 2020. I wanted to take 5 years of data before the pandemic. I think it's difficult to do longitudinal analysis, even just coming out of the pandemic now. So I wanted to share bulk good data that demonstrates the pattern of transfers at LP over a 5-year period prior to a huge shift in school practice and in all of our lives, the pandemic. So student enrollment, the first row, student enrollment in 2020 at Lincoln Park was over 2,000. And the student demographics, and that was true over that 5-year period as well. Lincoln Park has had about a 2,000 student enrollment. And the second row is student racial demographics over the 5-year period. Black students over that 5-year period were 22% of the student body, Latinx students were 35% of the student body, and white students were 28 of the student body. This number doesn't quite add up to 100, but these are the majority or sort of the larger categories of student demographics in the school during that time. On average, across those 5 years, 32 students transferred to alternative schools. So 32 students could not find success at Lincoln Park and transferred from Lincoln Park into the alternative high schools. And I think some of the data that was of interest to be shared at this LSC was the racial demographics of the students that transfer. So the percentage of Black students who transferred from Lincoln Park to an option school, to an alternative high school over that period were 55%. So 55% of option school transfers at Lincoln Park are Black students, but Black students only account for 22% of the student body. So that's a disproportionality of over twice, right? Over twice, they count for 22% of the student body, but are over twice that of the transfers. And the second is the percentage of Latinx students transferring to option schools or alternative high schools over a 5-year period. That was 31%. And I also included percentage of white students who transfer to alternative high schools from Lincoln Park over the 5-year period, and they're 13%. So I'm going to move to the next slide. I thought there might be interest in just seeing dropout and transfer to option schools. There might be a situation where a student, as opposed to leaving school without a graduation, a student might be recommended to transfer to an option school or an alternative high school. And so I want to compare just the number of students who have left Lincoln Park without transferring to another school, without leaving the district. These are students who have left high school without a diploma versus the number of students who have transferred to option schools during that same 5-year period of 2016 to 2020. So going down, I think you can see that the numbers there's not a huge significant difference between the number of students who leave Lincoln Park, who drop out without a high school diploma, versus the number of students who transfer to option schools. So in 2026, the number of students who dropped out were 56 students, compared to 50 students who transferred to option schools. And then compared in 2020, 41 students left Lincoln Park without a high school diploma, and 20 students transferred to option schools. I'm going to stop sharing, but I believe I have a couple more minutes to answer any questions or put the slides back on the screen. I also shared these slides with the climate and culture team. So those are available through the climate and culture team as well.
Data, well, it predates the administration, so it's curious what the data you have predates the existing administration. Do you have, which is still very relevant data to take a look at, because I'm sure it's impactful. But do you have data for the last 2 years, let's say?
Yeah, I can tell you off the top of my head. The data from the previous school year from 2022 to 2023, again, I didn't want to include just one snapshot year because I think, I know Lincoln Park, like all of us, has experienced the pandemic and also an administrative change. But I do understand your point and your question around what's some more recent data. So from 2022 to 2023, off the top of my head, there were about 46 students from Lincoln Park who transferred into an option school. And about 94% of those students who transferred into option schools identified either Black or Latinx. And I believe it was like similar demographics. It was like 55% of those 46 students who transferred from Lincoln Park to an option school identified as Black. I believe it was also around like the same, like kind of 35% that transferred who identified as Latinx. So I think what's important to underscore is it was about 46 students transferred, and like over 90% of those students who transferred identified as either Black or Latinx.
Data on other unit schools and I'm curious to know how.
I'm sorry, could someone repeat the question? I know that there's been some struggle with mics and I want to make sure I answer it.
You have comparison data to other neighborhood high schools and CPS?
I do. Again, this work is across CPS schools. I don't want to compare Lincoln Park to another high school in sort of a way that can make it seem like two schools are being compared in ways that are inappropriate. I'll say across the district, the majority of students who transfer to option schools, alternative high schools, identify as Black and Latinx. So the sort of the racial disparities that are seen at Lincoln Park also exist across the district, which is largely why the district is interested in transfer to option schools. Understanding it as this is something that really Black and Latinx students in our district experience. How does that happen? Why does it happen? And what does transfer to option schools do or not do for students?
Yeah, I guess, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I guess the question is, from your perspective, what is the end goal here? Is it for us as a school do we not want students to be transferring out? Or is it that we want to be doing a good enough job advising and supporting students? And maybe for some students, transferring out is the best option. So how are we differentiating those pieces here rather than just determining this is happening to a certain population and it shouldn't be versus, I guess, what are the nuances in this discussion that I'm curious to know more about? What's the overarching goal of this data to get us to do, not do, look at?
So I can tell you the overall goal of the work with CPS. The goal is to understand who is transferring into option schools, because previously it was not understood how many students transfer, why they transfer, and who those students are. So understanding fundamental demographic patterns across the district of where are students coming from and where are they going and who those students are. And then, yeah, understanding why do students transfer. So at Lincoln Park, the average student who transfers from Lincoln Park to an option school transfers in their 11th grade year. And they usually have on average 10 credits and have attempted 19 credits. And so I think for the district, it's asking questions around how do students get to, for example, their junior year with so few credits? How can we help students upstream being more successful in their neighborhood high schools or in high schools that they're enrolled in? And then asking when a student does have to transfer, when is transfer most appropriate? Because I think it's 64% of the students who transfer to option schools do not graduate. And so transfer to an option school is not a guarantee that a student will graduate high school. And so it's a question of how do we best support students so they can remain in their neighborhood schools or in their CPS schools and be successful. And then under what conditions is it appropriate to transfer a student? And so I think those are some of the goals of the partnership with CPS.
Those are the goals and those are the problems. We have some suggestions, where to take action. So what's the strategy? What's the action? And who's doing this?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question. I'm having a little trouble hearing.
What could be done? There is a problem, there is analysis. There is a goal, and what is the action plan?
Are you asking from the research or in terms of Lincoln Park?
All of it. I mean, if you have a research, you must have some suggestions, and then obviously you are kind of checking the strategy alternatives with CPS. So there must be some suggestion on action.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest actions that have come with CPS are two things. One is an effort to now give practitioners in schools better information about what happens to students once they transfer to option schools. One thing that we learned from the research is that often practitioners are speaking to students about transfer. Students may not be able to graduate in the 4-year time period. And so they offer transfer to option schools as a potential avenue to graduate on time or fairly quickly. However, because most of the option schools are privatized, they're run by charter schools or by for-profit companies, practitioners don't have a lot of information about what services are offered at option schools, what curriculum and classroom work really looks like at these schools, and what graduation does and doesn't look like. And so giving practitioners more transparent information about the option school system. And then the other thing that the district has been playing with is thinking about having these transition specialists support schools in understanding when is an appropriate case for transfer and when is not. So I know that each network has a transition specialist to help schools facilitate and centralize that transfer process. So I think those are some of the two primary goals in terms of supporting practitioners in schools and then also supporting schools as a larger community.
And the 64% rate you quoted around graduation, that's CPS wide or that's Lincoln Park?
That is students that transfer into option schools. So most of the option schools are not run by CPS. They're charter schools and they're for-profit companies that run these and operate option schools. And so that's around the percentage of students that do not graduate from option schools.
Okay. And do you know what that number is for Lincoln Park?
See, I don't, because part of the thing is that part of the research is I have access to CPS administrative data. Once a student transfers into the option schools, they sort of move behind a curtain where I don't necessarily have all of their data, right?
Okay.
So I can't necessarily trace what happens to a Lincoln Park student once they transfer, no.
Okay. We got about 2 more minutes on this and then we'll.
Can you hear me? Hi, I was curious how many schools, option schools are charter and how many are CPS?
So my understanding is last time I looked at the portfolio, there were 39 option schools in CPS, and about 1 in 10 high school age students in the district goes to an option school. I think I would say 5 of those are not run by a charter school. The largest charter management organization, there's one charter management organization that operates most of them, it's YCCS. And so they operate the majority of them, probably, I think last time I did the numbers, it was like 70% of the option schools are run by one charter management organization.
That's telling in itself to me. So thank you for that.
Yep.
I will say that a lot of this is, if you're interested in these option schools and who runs them, that information is on CPS's main office website as under the title of re-engagement in high school, is where there's like a list of the different option schools, and they might change year to year which schools the district continues to charter with and contract. But last time I checked, it was around 39 and about 70% of them were run by one charter management organization.
Okay, we have one more question for you.
And I'm sure you said this, but I'm sorry I didn't understand or missed it. But with that dropout column, are those definitely different individuals than the transfer, or some of those are the same individuals that dropped out and then later transferred somewhere else? Like how much overlap was there between those two columns with the individuals themselves?
That's a great question. Those are completely different student groups. Yeah. So none of the students that were reflected in the dropout column or the transfer column overlapped. They're distinct columns.
Sam, thank you for being here. Also, I just want to say, since I'm leaving the LSC, most of it, Kaylor, a lot of us are not going to be here next year. I hope that the LSC moving forward prioritizes the needs of our Black and Brown students. Although, yes, CPS is predominantly Black and Brown students. This school is very split, but Black and Brown students, are impacted more than our other students in terms of, leaving to transfer on. That's not okay. And if you think of this classroom plus another classroom full of 45 desks of Black and Brown kids, that's how many kids every year leave. That's a problem. So I hope we can do better, all of us,
Thanks, Mr. Boulder, for inviting and making that connection. And thank you so much for your time and your research and continued success in Alabama.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Great. We are now moving on to our principal's report. So Dr. Steinmiller, I'm going to turn it. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Outside. Yeah. Forgive me. Brian, I believe, is a representative from the Friends of Lincoln Park High School, and he's here to provide a report to us. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's Colin O'Brien, President-elect of Friends of Lincoln Park, giving you some updates on what's been happening the past month. First off, we raised $35,000 All right, pretty good. Get better next year. Um, we had a good parent party. Lounge, that one of the parents. During the freshman orientation. $4,000. Our next meeting will be May 21st. With the new officers and members. Next May 21st. President Park will be helping plan senior field day on May 23rd. Here. Also, t-shirts and our plan for spending funds, planning for that recommendation and also
Thank you for the leadership and raising school. Because you have children. Yes, I have graduated. Thank you.
All right. Since we had our budget meeting last week, we had most things, kind of a high level thing. At this point, we are doing department chair elections at this point. Elections, like one nomination, and they accept, they are the chair. There's two, then we will have runoffs next Thursday. But that's a process. Seekers and even on the survey, how often the trend that was from this years. Any if there's any more than one, next week we'll have election for different departments. As may be aware, we have started our assistant principal selection process. Collected numerous resumes. Pops up, members of our LT and other staff members. But I know our members have been added to it, have been reviewing them and going into an interview pile, not interview pile. In the interview pile, there's been over 20 people suggested for interviews. So I am interviewing them all. I have interviewed 5 more tomorrow. About a 30-minute interview. That came to person helps support our teachers, students, staff. So next Tuesday, team members, there will be rotating. We bring 4 people in, we make another section. More. This is one I want to get to. Right now, I would say we have a really great pool because other schools haven't are interviewing. So we have the first one. We have a lot of bilingual candidates. School, and most that I'm moving forward have experience. Former principals in some cases. We have everybody assistant principal board. And we have keep the work. So Tuesday we have rotations just like we have done in the past. There will be a student section, so I hope that students. Thank you. There will be a portion which LSC will be a virtual for LSC group, but I would just make it in person. That'd be great. Students in person would be awesome. There is something about in person versus just there will be a IRT as well as any the other 2 coordinators. Part of it, part of that section. Well, there's that questions. It's a 30-minute rotation. previously. But 30 minutes will give us looking at the performance of the day. There will be a section where it's and I will be helping walk and then after that, if there are clear people that can bring back, there is a possibility that that's the case, but if there is something programming that well, so by programming meeting with individual department chairs at least again, then the program everybody's. Well, as I put in the newsletter, the part about the two all of the stuff above us. And we do that. That's really great. There's some things I would challenge us to do. One of those is it's about 2%. It's not one. That in the way you get to it, I think references some of the data that was shared with us, track. So, track there was a point in time I can bring that data too, where that's something. So we do have an increased number of students right now. Right now, I want that to be getting to college, our enrollment and persistence rates are high. Like we just need to get everybody for them. So other things, just, I've updated on the CIWP, instruction, unit planning, post-secondary data. Still have the parents, so it's going to that, but our already certain aspect of it is communication. So if our get to raise our goals higher, then work again earlier as our climate also some process attendance have to have so clear plans, making sure students are going up to set up to have to that is my general report. You know, there are also line items that I mean that
Hi, sorry, I can't hear.
Oh, Koya, can you hear me now?
So much better.
I'm so sorry. I'm getting these mixed up. So I was talking about the frustration of teachers and, there's always a policy in place, the pride, we, hire extra, but there's no enforcement at the top. And there seems to be sort of, you know, hollow threats, and I don't mean threats, that's the right word, but detentions and in school, and there's just no follow through. We're doing our job in the classes, we're calling parents, we're talking to students, the importance, but we got to have something in place and not here you can wipe out 30 or 40 and go to the school dance. It's not working, and it should be working.
Made it really clear that we need a very robust plan in terms of what this is gonna look like in the fall that cannot provide.
Exactly. And we are doing, they tell us there's all these hoops that as teachers, and it's right. And when I say hoops, we're willing to do what we need to do by putting it into Aspen, but we're encouraged. Kids are missing 30, 40 days. And this is across the programs. This is not one particular program. And if there are no consequences, then, and we're encouraged to pass everyone with an A or B, then that's something that we have to look at too. We don't want to send kids out into the world that are not prepared intellectually or emotionally. And we need to start focusing more on the intellectual aspect as well as the SEL. And I haven't seen that happen.
The kids show up.
Yes, exactly.
All right. All right, next. Senior events. I believe is the next that we have. All right. Senior events. So have senior events. The awards banquet. We have the award banquet coming up for our families. Again, we asked all of our teachers to put names down for the request. We will be restructuring how we ask for the names next time. So I think that led to some miscommunication. We got nicknames, we've got first names, no last names, we got juniors, we got upper freshmen. So we just got to make sure that as senior awards that we in our forms that we are asking, we're going to structure it where it's miscommunication that is going on around it. We did pivot and adjust to our location for the awards banquet. There wasn't a high enough number. It has been a challenge of the LSC is to reflect on the locations that we are hosting these events to make sure. We heard loud and clear from our parents that with all the other costs, and so we have adjusted that. We are hosting it here. Friends of us helping in that adjustment. We did approve the fee letter at the beginning of the year. Meeting for $40. We don't need $40 to host. $20. We have nice food. That is the adjustment. There will be continual communication that paid for the awards banquet. It just wasn't. Prom. There was a question on location of prom. So we are doing prom at White Sox Stadium. we looked at a bunch of different areas for where we could actually host prom. The Hyatt's, again, going back to, the Hyatt's too expensive. We only have 434 seniors. $150 each senior, you have a limited amount of money. So if we went to the Hyatt, we wouldn't have money for any food, any displays, and barely because it would go through space. Because of our group, they would have had us in basically the entry of the Hyatt at the lower level, right where their restaurant is, because they're bigger groups, they're going to other places. We currently have about 365 seniors who are going to prom. Because we get at Sox Park, we have flexibility in the cost. The space itself could be as low as 39. And then you add food on it. And actually, we have a budget now because all of our students were paying 150 for the prom. And now we have a location. They are actually having really nice meals. We're able to put really great, got a dance floor, got the DJ, 360 booths, the full experience that you have. We could not have provided that at any other location for the size of it. It was actually the most cost effective. I am a White Sox fan, but as you know, our season is terrible. So I think they're trying to get any money possible just to get us in the stadium, people in the stadium. It won't be a game, but at least we'll have probably the most fun that anybody will in that stadium to see. So that is why that location is there. And I know students wanted it to be at the Hyatt, but again, the challenge for the sellers is we have spaces that are affordable. It's been $300 a kid. Hyatt to have food, all these other things to it. That's I'm gonna go through the floor.
Dr.
Yeah.
Steinmiller, before was even, I'm wondering why it wasn't vetted before it was even an option. I mean, the kids voted for it and they wanted it and then I'm just wondering why it was even an option. Should we have known that we couldn't afford it before we even presented it?
We worked through contract negotiations. So as we're going through and seeing the numbers, it was every attempt, I can say, and I spoke to the state, she was trying to I am going to say, unless we get 400 kids going, or every single team going, we can't afford it, and it's not. Yeah, you said that here. We can't. If we're putting $20,000 into it, you challenge me saying, "Hey, we can't use money." Like it's not used. It doesn't. And we still couldn't have had the full development of stuff we're going to have an experience that they're going to have. There's also other things that I'm becoming more resistant. They get a bunch of rooms in it. They don't leave. They're waiting for us to leave because they're waiting to go to the room instead of the party. By the hotel to go back to the party. That was the last time we used a hotel. But that's not that won't limit us if that is the best option for the possible. But those are some of the things variables. We were paying security to stay later because we're sitting in the lobby. But this venue, I could do the final two. I would just like to say that I think I do hear we can limit beforehand, but we also I mean I try to push things. Now the question was, hey, do we bump it up to 225 for a kid? So that yeah, and then people can on our numbers would have gone down, still wouldn't have had. All those who are part of it. Okay. A senior luncheon. So why do we not have a senior luncheon? Some of the things that we've been hearing from our, again, families over the last several years. Have shifts have been having more of a celebration for our students. That is actually the last 2 years that we've really having something special. The senior luncheon just hasn't been, feedback hasn't been about it, hasn't been all that great, and overall just the way in which students would not the last days of school. We are set up. We have finals, and at that point you have no grade, it's a dime for students for five days. We only have 3 days, we have a shorter window, so really with those experiences in it. And again, it's a financial thing for our students too. The students are going to be able to keep organizing they've been doing sunset, but we're focused on the awards banquet at there. Moving on to graduation, and I can answer any questions with it. Graduations at UIC. It's the same location last year. Benefit of this location, we have more people, and that really we have some neat locations where it's 24 tickets. We have so many things begged. We can actually allow quite a number of families. I don't really, there really shouldn't be a limit for. I mean, if you bring 50 people, but like last year. We did not allocate. I actually walked away with 100 tickets that I had. I was handing out outside. So it really allows us to have everybody attend, everybody be a part of this amazing experience. It is at 10 o'clock. As we work with UIC again on contracts and windows of time, they set the structure of when that plan place. 10 o'clock is the ceremony. I think some of the initial visions that are put together, that means we don't have students there at 7. And our time getting to 5. So having 9 o'clock with the students, not at 10 o'clock, we're gonna have our students get there, and at 8 o'clock, get them lined up, get everybody set up. It's like 30 minutes. So have our wonderful assembly, one of our graduations. At Kim Fox is already speaking. So from Park High School. So for this one.
Say, I appreciate the fact that it seems like you're trying to make things more affordable. I'm always emailing students on behalf of students asking if we can get discounted free tickets because again, half of the school is, I think folks forget that sometimes. So we have to make these events accessible for all. I guess it is.
Okay.
That is all.
Okay.
Yeah, I think during the public participation, established booster need to make sure out. So, continue to the next item on that to have our
Is that going to be, so how are we gonna be able to see that?
Yeah, as that money would go straight into internal accounts, so it's not- so it would go back to general.
So that in,
Yeah, we would. The yes, I just don't. I would. So and I'm talking about the girls' basketball team. They would not be. They are. They, coach has collected them. But now we have out. Safety for the materials, and that. Lemonade. Hey. So the original fundraising is till June 30th. But again, we want to set some. To get that resolved. The money would go directly to the 501c3 in a basketball separated. Basketball athletic fund. They're fundraising right now, so they have their booster. That any money that they're collecting is going to go through the boosters. That money has to hit first, return to us, and then there are already fundraising things for the summer. Donations that are lined up and some sponsorships, but until this return, that money is not coming to. I don't know if folks can hear me. On the spreadsheet. Yeah, we have the fundraising, two different fundraisers that are going to go to. The check, the money goes to the booster account, 501c3. The point have us. One check. We're not gonna chunk it. We're gonna get to the total sum. I don't like checks. If we don't have it by June 30th, then we own all the. They have to- Fund for parents or. So just give an example of fundraising. The first day of the fundraising, we're looking to do a basketball boosters. They've already raised $1,000. They're not. I met with parents. They're here. That's what the parents communicated, that they weren't aware of it, even though a lot of our parents have been a part of every team that's instructing all our teams here. But so we're moving forward, and they will have those jerseys to use for the next 3 years.
If you're talking about the new.
We pay for them usually formally coaching. That's usually life. Technically, it coaches every 2 years. It's actually why we don't want to be business. Because it is, I mean, the amount of jerseys we got from each team is probably within 20,000 each. We're able to get an incredible discount. That's part of it. Great. But after 3 years, material will break. Yeah. That's where again. But because we paid for it, I have an expectation that they utilize something that the girls ones are all returned. You have to get them.
That's update overall. Here, update what we think here.
Got it. We are in the middle of our seasons. Some of them are coming to a close. I know that in some of the major supports right now. I know Mr. Lascano and Mr. Savage have been supporting the athletic program, building out handbooks, clear expectations of what the athletic structure like and how those coaches. She's been partnering with a lot of the teams on what their needs are. To she's working with our new basketball boosters and their support and partnering with them. She's been working with the individual hiring efforts of some of our coaches that have just had some issues along the way, help with those resolved. Some of the other things that she also is addressing is anything with IHSA, some of the things with my school, accordingly, to make sure our program is standing, and preparing really for the long term going forward. Right now, she's already met with a department chair for the athletics to go through all of the spaces. It's just yeah. That's a big we can't even put it on we partner with Chicago Park District, and they can't even access their stuff. Storage spaces anymore because it's effective. We have been also working with expanding the amount of opportunities for our teams to be able to play. It was kind of isolated with one space. Some people that's the part. So again, we've expanded to be able to cross and different sports and actually use the I think it's called Wilson Field, the south of it. So we have multiple teams in our football actually do that in the fall. It's going to be redone, and it's not a game space. There's no fencing, but we'll have soccer field, that field, which is just kind of something that she's already doing for all teams have access. She also has been challenging and trying to support some of our teams, as you know, on the Arizona field, the dog park, she's been working with aldermen, she's been working with groups of teams who have access to it, trying to advocate them to have the dog park. So that's our work. Hopefully up here. Also celebrate our track, some of our state. It's a quick turnaround, making sure it gets approved for the field trip. Sure that we have. I'm very impressed with the responsiveness of the social media and the communication.
Are there any upgrades for the fundraising page since it was the program with students in some place? But it was limited by CPS. Are we free to use whatever? I mean, soccer posters we use something and then it's certainly
I just have to make sure whatever format is used is student information. So that would maintain the same.
Sure. Could she help us to basically develop some good arguments about it? Because we were very successful fundraising.
You can. So yeah, work and see. Getting back to the state. That's how to work. So or security. That's it.
Just real quick, the dog field thing, is that by the Larrabee field or where is that? Oh, by the practice field.
Yes, the field that
By the football field?
no, there's a practice field right next to it. There's a practice field. Yeah, so there's the turfed field, and then there's a practice field right next to it. Eliminating the practice field to become a dog park.
So I know that actually sometimes we have soccer and football teams trying to negotiate and share the practice and games. So which will then be really limited because we share. Football teams are sometimes also there.
This is why we've expanded. Wilson Field will be for football, so soccer will still be able to use it without the conflict. I mean, our football program has grown from like 30 kids to, I mean, could easily be over 100 this year. I kid you not. We can't have 3 soccer teams and 100 kids in football all in one field, and it's not realistic. That was one of her first moves, was to be able to get that Wilson Field so that then soccer could remain there. Football would then go to Wilson Field, and everybody has practice.
Wilson is a longer way to go, but I mean it's a better facility.
Actually,
for
it's
sure.
half a mile
for football. Yeah.
Diverse, and that's because football is also going to be lugging equipment. It's half a mile down. Yeah, it's the one. Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming it's where we practice at Wilson Track. There's
a one
several
by
fields
Meniere.
here. It's okay. Then it's not.
So as you go towards Meniere,
Gotcha.
it's really like a straight shot. It's maybe a half mile. Not even a mile. I think it's 0.7 mile. It's easier for like all the football equipment to get there. So that was the decision of it's going to be returfed. Now there's also the dog walkers there are really angry. They've been walking their dogs right through lacrosse practices, just because they feel it's their field for all their dogs without having leashes on, which is the city ordinance. But it'll be returfed, and it will our football. We were actually begging that they wouldn't do it because there was talks they would try to do it this spring, but we'll be able to finish ours.
Okay, anything else on the boards? I think we should. Now, I realize that you may come in June, but you may not. So this could be potentially your final student voice student report. Okay. Your penultimate report, go for it.
I think we're good now. Yeah. So, no new major updates. So the most recent thing at our most recent student voice committee meeting, we just consulted a bunch of students about the ways that we'd like to see outdoor space, which we're going to be able to open up now because of the new gate going off into Armitage and Orchard. People were just talking about how they want to see more outdoor class space, picnic tables, places for recreation, some more, investments into like landscaping, things along those lines. So we'll set up a time to talk a little bit more about that and just see if we can get some funding for that going into the next school year. Yep, sounds good. And then just outside of that, just the rest of the policy items we've been presented on this year. We've just been in more talks about next steps for those and hoping to get everything sealed and put a bow on it before it terms up.
And then we had our last student voice committee meeting this Monday, and then we're taking a week off, and then the next week we'll meet with the future representatives, which we're super excited about, and just kind of give them a rundown of the job and all that entails and advice and that sort of thing. And then as for student life, there isn't any major updates there either, just the senior spirit weeks and all that good stuff, and homecoming or not homecoming, next weekend, very exciting, and then graduation. It's a fun lineup.
You know, I understand there was an SBC that transition meeting was supposed to happen Monday, but then it was,
May
I thought there was
20th.
one on Monday, this past Monday.
This was just yeah, it's been confusing with different schedules about the upcoming reps who's going to be able to make it or not. So we think that everyone's going to be able to make it on the 20th. So we'll be able to get a full onboarding then.
Okay, thank you.
So the meeting's gonna be on the 20th. Is just gonna be sit down with Jay, Nicoya, I, and then George, Catherine, and Jaya. Sorry about that. Just so we can get them, ready to leave next year, show them some of the internal workings of it, get them briefed on the policy works that we're doing this year, and help them sort of get a plan to develop our agendas for next year. So it's just going to be an internal meeting, getting ready for next year.
No, it's been an ongoing. Yeah. Appreciate that. It's great.
I was only at the first portion of the meeting, but we mainly discussed attendance and the issues needed to hit the ground running next year with that. There's been a lot of really positive feedback around teacher participation in monitoring the school hallways. That's been really, really helpful. And also feedback that the cell phone policy has been a good, smooth rollout at this point, and teachers are feeling good about it. They're feeling supported. They're feeling like it was a good move, and they're happy they finally got the support of the administration to back something that they had really wanted for a long time. I think there was talk about the fences, but that's also facilities. And we discussed like tardies and detentions, and I mean, nothing different than Sandy, what you brought up in terms of just like really prioritizing for the beginning of next year, attendance and uh, consequences.
Great. Thank you very much. Next is community relations, Paul, I think. Great. Great. Okay. Next is principal evaluation. I'll speak to that. So we administered our survey to the faculty and staff, as well as to parents and community. We just got the results in today. So we had planned to have a closed session after this to discuss, but we did not have time for people to do pre-read. So I don't recommend that we really meet when we could go in for a minute, but it's really just to schedule, look at the calendar, when are we going to meet to do this? You know, we could potentially have one meeting after the budget next Wednesday, so here, maybe we could do that. That's one option. And then that would be for us to align on our sort of draft evaluation. We should have Dr. Steinmiller, he sent us his self-evaluation, and then we meet to discuss and align on that. So we really have two. So that's kind of that process. Mr. Condon just shared the link, so I will send it out to everybody after the meeting, and then you'll have till next week to look at the data. Yeah. So I guess one question is, do we want to try to like pick a date now? Do we want to like go into a closed session, do all that? I'm fine to do it right now. This might be more expeditious. Okay. So what about, so we're going to meet right now next Wednesday at 4 p.m. to talk about the budget. So could we do it right after that if we're done by 5 or even done by 4:30? For then to go into closed session on principal evac. 5 or 3? Did we say 5 or 4? We said 4. Okay. So budget at 4, principal eval at 5. Could people make that? Okay. Let's just see a show of hands. Who can make that? 1, 2. Yes. Yes. Yes, to come in and provide input. Yes. So for the beginning of the meeting, yeah. Okay.
Maybe do that.
Okay.
Maybe, I'm not, actually.
Okay. So people could be there at 5, or just one more time, hands. 2, yes? No. Okay. 2. Yeah, it seems like half of us. Okay. 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 8. Yeah, we still need 8 of us. If it's an LSC meeting, we need 8 in person physically. Okay, Monday is good. Just that we run into like the time week of graduation, the senior stuff. You know, I'd rather try to wrap it up, but so next Thursday is an option.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing. I got nothing.
No, I don't remember that. And how is this? What is the concept of that's something that you just decided to do? I mean, is this an LSC decision or how did this come to be?
It's like the history of education, and it's predominantly all white male space. And so part of the counter narrative of where this grant is coming from is for us to have inclusive work of art, that where our students walk up to school see themselves in the art. So Centron's work is very inclusive, it's really